Hey everyone, welcome to another van build episode. In this episode, we are installing a Webasto gasoline heater. We got the Air Top 2000 STC. It comes with a lot of pieces that you have to figure out how they go together. There are a lot of pieces that you might have to source outside of the kit that you get, depending on what website you buy it on. So follow along. I'll try to walk through a lot of those pieces. As always, there are links in the description below to all of the items that we use. If you have questions, definitely reach out. This is something that's definitely very intensive. I'm hoping this video will help you guys out in putting your heater in. So here we go. Let's get started. Before we do, just an FYI. European kits such as those from Heatso normally will not carry a North American warranty. Buying from a certified US distributor will give you support from Webasto if you need it. A DIY install will not void the warranty like many videos before me have said. Keep that in mind when you are thinking about saving a little bit of money on your heater purchase. I hope this video gives you the confidence you need to install a Webasto heater in your van. I'm not a certified installer, so this video is for informational purposes only and should not take the place of professional advice. Thanks for watching. So the first step is to figure out where we are going to mount the heater. We decided we're not going to do it under the passenger seat like a lot of people do. If you watched our bench video, originally I was planning to have the electrical compartment here. That's what I've been thinking the whole entire build. Our heater in between, and then a fridge. Looking under the van, there are ribs that run here and the muffler in between. There's a few other things over this direction. So I decided to move the heater back. One of the problems though is there is a bar that runs right here under the van and another one that's here and comes up from where the screw is. Where there's open floor, I can't mount it widthwise across the van because the outlet isn't far enough back to be able to fit the outlet tubing. So I'm actually going to have to run it at an angle like this. So it basically will have enough area in the back where the upright is for our bench seat. And then this will have a tube that comes out sideways and mounts on the front of the cabinet here. Figuring out placement, we have about 3 to 4 inches from the outlet. And from where the upright will be, there's 2 inches, which they suggest a minimum of 20 millimeters, which is less than 1 inch. So having 2 inches is more than ideal. One of the things that we have to do is you're not supposed to have the heater on wood floor. This is the composite floor, so there's wood underneath this. I am going to take this mounting plate and put it down on the bottom. I'll trace it out, and then I'm going to saw out this piece of floor so that that sits flush on the bottom of the van. The sun is going down. It is almost actually all the way down, so we'll see if we get that tonight. Otherwise, we will start it up in the morning. I cleaned up that hole a little bit more from last night. I got all of the foam ripped out of it. So this will be placed right there on the floor. It'll have that foam underneath to make sure that there's no carbon monoxide escaping back into the van, so everything would be going out. I have a 1/4 inch bit to drill the 6 outside, just the outside line holes. I will just basically line it up right in this spot and drill just directly down through. After I'm done with that, I'll clean up all those metal shavings with the shop vac. We will then take a 4-inch hole saw, and so all of these mounting pieces for the heater will just go through a 4-inch hole. Some people drill separate holes for all of these into their floor. Because this isn't a flat piece of floor, we can't really do that with it. I also like the 4-inch hole better because then you don't have to worry about rust on 7 separate holes. So if you do one big hole, all you have to worry about is that one single surface, and it's a lot easier to spray paint, to brush on, whatever you want to do with Rust-Oleum and all that. And I'm actually going to go under the van and tape up a plastic bag, basically a hammock, kind of like we did for the vent fans, to catch any of those metal scraps so they're not on the ground underneath the van at all. Then we'll go ahead and get everything covered with Rust-Oleum. I have both a primer that I'll probably spray first, let that dry for a little while, and then I'll follow up with a brush on Rust-Oleum. Alright guys, I just pulled the bag and have the screws through. Like I said, I found the only and as far back spot that I could. So there's all 6 of the bolts coming through. So these are all going to be basically just sitting like that. They'll probably be a little bit higher because of the foam, but then we'll have some locking nuts from the bottom. They're all stainless steel. They come with the Webasto. So I am excited that that's out of the way. Now we just got to make that big 4-inch hole right here. All right guys, moment of truth. I put a little bit of a pilot hole in there so the bit will fit. Try to get it as centered as possible. This rib kind of makes it a little bit goofy, but here's that 4-inch hole saw. Here comes a giant hole in the bottom of the van. Because this is high and these ones are low, and this is where it goes in, it's catching that goofy. So I'm gonna have to go under the van and see if I can't do it from the bottom, because then it will naturally hit the low spots first and then come up and get this after. Ooh. Well, that was fun. The drill bit had a rough time getting through. I went up from underneath and got it most of the way and then finished off from the top. I definitely have vacuumed for like a half an hour just to be safe that there's no flecks of metal anywhere. It did make a mess quite a bit all around, so I've done my best to just vacuum the whole entire van, went under the van, vacuumed everything from below, did everything I could to make sure that there's no metal because any rust issues are a big deal. With that being said, I'm going to file down this edge to try to, round it out so there's not too many sharp edges, and then going to go ahead and do a fast drying primer, automotive primer on all of the holes. Try to just coat everything on this bottom piece. Same from below. We'll let that dry for about an hour and then we'll get some Rust-Oleum high performance enamel on there as well, just to make sure that there's no rust issues going forward. You can never be too safe with that. So we're going to let the primer dry for about an hour. We're going to go ahead and start working on the gas tank. There are a couple tabs that you unscrew and then one that's just hand tight. As you can see, there's these little clip things. Move that away. You'll find there are screws down below. Once we get that cap out of the way, there's this little black cap here. It has a green unclicking piece. As you can see, it clicks out like that. That covers the nipple that is a tap for the gas tank. So there is a tube that goes down into the gas tank, down to basically where a quarter tank is. So that's what's a nice thing about the ProMaster, is already included. Some vans, you have a port, but you have to put down a metal piece into the tank and do it yourself.
I really hope it doesn't tip fuel all over me.
Am I gonna get crushed? You are if you're underneath it. I'm underneath it.
To go on that nipple, we have this 90-degree connector piece. It clips right onto it. It has this 90-degree elbow. And then I have a fuel filter that I purchased. These aren't something that you absolutely need, but I just thought it better be safe than sorry. The thing about this is it's supposed to be 90 degrees up or horizontal. So I have this 90-degree elbow making it angle up just a little bit. I probably should have had another 90-degree piece coming off the end to be able to feed that hose down, but I will do my best to keep this with a zip tie at an angle up so that it's pulling the fuel through it. And then this will connect to our fuel line. So that'll just connect into that. I'm going to wait to put it in there until I know how long this tube has to go into the bottom of the van. So we'll go ahead and clip that on the nipple. I don't know if you heard that little clip. So behind this spot, there's open space where you can feed your fuel line down underneath the van. It basically goes down under the gas tank, and kind of where that little step is into the cab, that's kind of where it curves down underneath. So I'll go underneath the van, check that out. And then we're going to connect it to a fuel pump. And so there's a spot where this can connect right behind the gas tank. So I'll show you that now under the van. This is where the line comes out behind the gas tank. So up underneath here, there are these connection pieces. There's 2 of them on each side of the gas tank, passenger and driver's side. So that's what I'm going to connect the fuel pump to. The fuel pump did come with stainless steel nut and bolt, so I'll just feed it through there. There is this P-clamp that goes around it, and then that nut and bolt, and so we'll just connect that up there, and this basically just has to run vertical. This is the way the fuel goes out. This is the actual electrical connection that we're gonna have to connect the electrical to, but it goes in the right side there and out the left. All right, got the fuel pump in there. It's a number 13 wrench and ratchet that I did that bolt in. So it is absolutely solid in there. So now I'm gonna have to go cut off the fuel line inside the van and connect it here to run all the way back to where the heater is. So got that line connected. This 90-degree still, I think when that cover is on, keep this pretty much horizontal so we won't have to worry there. So under the van, I'll go ahead and find a couple spots to zip tie the fuel line to. Since we started working on the gas tank, it's been about an hour of running things. I am going to go ahead and get Rust-Oleum all over the places that we cut again. This time it's the actual Rust-Oleum enamel. So now we're gonna run under the van, get that gas line attached. One of the things I did while I was still waiting for that to dry, I loomed up the electrical cable and the gas line. So this piece here connects to the fuel pump, and then this connects to the fuel pump too. So then both of these have to run all the way back to the Webasto heater. We're gonna go ahead and try to route this through some of the heat shields so any of the things that are hot under the van won't touch it. I'll probably put some electrical tape on here in a few spots just to make sure they don't fall out of that loom. And then we'll have to cut off the wire and the fuel line to fit where it's going to go in the back of the van. So there's this little electrical wire that just clicks in, clicks into that little thing under the pump. You can see that. And then I stuck the fuel line into that little rubber tubing. So now I just got to tighten that screw head down, so that'll be tight in there. And then I'm going to put some electrical tape up and around, up into this wire and probably around that connector as well, just to be safe. But then for that wire, I first ran it through the heat shield here, so it protects from the muffler. Here's that heat shield. The line comes out here, follows these white clips that are under the van, and terminates here. So there's that hole. I have more than enough tubing right now. I'm going to just wait on cutting it until we get this in place. So let's get back up in the van and see what we can put together. With the Webasto, it comes with this little rubber gasket that fits around the outside of the heater. It has holes for the fuel tap, the inlet and outlet, and then the screws. So make sure you get that fit in there nicely. One of the nice things, if you drill the 4-inch hole, you can actually put everything together and place it into that hole. So we will be able to put on the exhaust and inlet hose. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. The first thing I'm going to do is start with the base plate. So once you put that plate on, Webasto sends some washers and nuts to go on all these. We'll just make sure those are all in place and tightened down. So got that plate mounted. I put on that rubber connector here, so that'll screw down with the screwdriver. This is an air inlet, so it will go on this black side where the wire is coming out. And there's a little slot for the electrical cable to go down along the side. And then the last one is the exhaust, which will go on this side. The only thing is I have this tube and I have a muffler, so that is going to have to go somewhere in between. I am going to wait to attach this one until we get under the van, because I'm going to have to saw this piece off where we can fit this muffler in. We have to attach it to the bottom of the van somehow, and then the side that I cut off will attach to the opposite side of the muffler, and then I have extra clamps to be able to do that. Well, this install is not going great at the moment because it has been raining and pouring on and off for basically the whole day. So I contacted a buddy who has put in a Webasto heater in the past, and he actually suggests not using the muffler. I was under the van trying to figure out where I was going to place it, and because you have to have the exhaust pipe running out the back of the van, you know, away from the way you're driving, so nothing gets into that end piece, I'm having a really tough time figuring out where I would mount it without drilling a hole in the bottom of the van. So I think I'm going to forgo putting the muffler in for now. That way we can actually put everything together and just plop it right in the hole. If we feel like it's just way too loud, we can install that muffler in the future. But for now, I think I just want to get it done and not worry about it too much. I'm going to go ahead and put that exhaust tube on the Webasto heater, and then we'll see about getting under there if it lets up a little bit. The next thing I got to place is this gasket. It has holes for where the screws go. So I'm going to do my best to line it up perfectly with the edge and make sure all of those holes line up well. There is an adhesive backer, so that will be adhering to the bottom of this. So now I'm going to go ahead and just lower this all into place. It's lowered into place. So we are going to go ahead and take those nuts and go underneath. I will have to have Katie come out. The heater's in, all bolted down. I'm gonna call it a night. It is still just miserable out. I'm just gonna tidy up all the wires and everything that's coming off the Webasto on the bottom. Just make sure they're off the ground so they're not getting wet or anything like that. And then tomorrow we'll pick it up in the morning. Hurricane Zeta feels like a good place to cut this episode. If you enjoyed part 1, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to check out part 2 of this video to see how we finished installing the heater. See you then.